the modules and the ideas from the modules came from comprehensive literacy. All so much of that book and research that they referred to from that book. So we had some really important conversations around AAC and literacy. And so I would highly recommend taking a listen to that. The first week is next week, I think. That will be Dr. David Koppenhaber. So super excited for that. We have read the book and we have worked with students, literacy and AAC for a while. And the part of the book that's so intriguing is the for all part. So for those with complex bodies, for those who aren't able to sound out words out loud, for those who maybe aren't even able to handwrite or use a keyboard. So we wanted to make some modules about what are some tools that could be helpful, what are some strategies that you could use for emergent reading and writing, as well as we're working on the conventional reading and writing. But the impetus was that we wanted to be sure that more special ed teachers and school-based speech pathologists and occupational therapists had more ideas, had another way to get information, and had some videos of some true examples.
We found out about an open education resource grant where we could spend some time and develop some modules. So that was last year, and some of it is still a work in progress, but it is to a point where we really want to share this out, get it out to people to try, and allow you all to collaborate with us to improve the modules as you guys have ideas and stories to share. So the first module is on universal tools and strategies. We'll give a little preview of that one. Then a second module, alphabetic and phonological awareness, then emergent reading and emergent writing.
Okay. So this is a really, really good starting point to ask yourself about your student, to understand if you are needing more strategies on emergent reading and writing or conventional reading and writing. And it doesn't mean that if the answer is no to all of these, then they're emergent. It doesn't mean there's no instruction.
And that helps you know, are these modules for you and the students you're thinking of? So do they know most of the letters most of the time, engage in activities during shared reading, have a means to communicate and interact, understand, and that writing involves letters and words. And so then all of these strategies are within the modules for those emergent intervention.
I was just going to say, we understand that if you're working with a couple of different students, which most people are, you probably have students in both of these categories. So we know that there's a challenge of trying to figure out, how do I provide quality literacy instruction when everyone's at such a different starting point? If you're working with really young children, you're probably all at emerging, and that's a little bit easier. As you move forward, if you have classrooms with a little bit of both, I would plug a little bit the Sharon Redmond webinar series on the book study that's talking a little bit more about how to meld both strategies for emergent and conventional in the same classroom.
Yeah, well, we can get that link up. We have a book study starting September 26th on comprehensive literacy for all that goes through the whole year. So takes it slow, gives you time to digest. We don't want to spend a lot of time in the PowerPoint because we want you to walk away with knowing how to access these modules, getting just a little preview of what you're going to see in some of the modules. So I'm going to pretty quickly here go out to the modules and just go ahead and see what it looks like. In the PowerPoint on the slide that shows the 4 modules, let's see right here, this one, each of these link to the different modules. And once you're in a module, you will be able to go out to the other modules. Each one, you'll have just a landing page. That's the title. And then we see Brenda giving an introduction to the whole module to let us know what it's all about. Brenda, do you want to share about the Universal Tools and Strategies module?
There's lots of different ways to help people with alternative access begin to participate in shared reading and other emergent reading and writing activities. And sometimes it's like, well, what tools do I want or need to get started? And so
alternative.
Yeah,
So do I need a step-by-step? Do I need a single message button? Do I need low-tech boards? What do I need? What does that look like? Where can I get it? So we just thought that before we jump straight, so just so you know, it's the first module is longer than the rest of them because we are introducing all of the tools and strategies, and then they're referred to in the later modules.
with each module, these 4 modules, you can see the different sections by just going to the arrow, going down to different parts of the module. Some have longer sections, but they're all kind of organized in this fashion where you're going through sections. And the whole intention was for you to be able to look through and think about, I want to learn about, emergent writing, or I want to learn about the tools, and be able to go through these modules at your own pace based on what you want to learn. So it's not about just sequentially going through the modules, but perusing and going to your interest areas. Starting off very, very basic with understanding ways in which our students communicate with us. Because if we're talking about students with complex communication needs, complex bodies, they need a way to make selections, show you what they know. And so Brenda has some awesome videos talking about how to teach yes and no, talking about switch access and how to determine that and help a student practice. Then going on to all of the universal tools that can be used. So I wanted to show part of a video, Brenda. I know you probably don't like to see yourself, but this is an awesome video showing different ways to use tools and strategies. This one is 6 minutes long, so we won't watch the whole video. It demonstrates using the tools and strategies, reading a book called Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. She starts out reading the book, and then she gets to tools and strategies. So we'll start out with the book, and then I'll fast forward a little bit to where she's showing some tools.
Hi, I'm the bus driver. Listen, I gotta leave for a little while, so can you watch things for me until I get back? Thanks. Oh, and remember, don't let the pigeon drive the bus. There he goes. I thought he'd never leave.
No. Yes.
We can use our head with the buttons to say yes or no. You can go around to each kiddo and say, do you think we should let the pigeon drive the bus?
Yes.
You do? How about you?
No.
Let's find out what happens. Please, I'll be careful. He's gonna be careful. Should we let him?
No.
Okay. Went ahead and recorded the step-by-step, and kids can do a shared reading experience where they're reading a line from the story.
I'll be your best friend. How about I give you $5? What's the big deal? It's just a bus. No fair.
I wonder if we wrote a different story. What animal do you think would also want to drive the bus? A monkey, a lion, a bird, or a dog? A monkey? Would you let the monkey drive the bus? We could also use our device and look at other choices for animals. Groups, animals. What do you think might like to drive the bus?
Kangaroo.
A kangaroo. Let's play around with that word. Bus. I wonder what happens if we change the vowel. Remember? The vowel is. Let's do this. Let's use our switch adapted spinner.
So that's just a little sampling of how practical the modules are with giving examples of the different tools in context.
And can I just say, like, the intent is that you would not read Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. We're not selling that book. We get no proceeds from that. We're showing from the very simplest of books how you could, in your reread, which is where the research is showing so much of the learning is happening. You could do lots of different things for a reread that does a deeper dive that helps students get more engaged in a story. And so you'll begin to look at books and go, oh, this is one I could use a step-by-step for. Oh, you know what? There's not a direct yes or no question here, but I could ask a direct yes or no question. Or there's a reoccurring phrase in this book and I want to use this. I want to use that. Or there isn't a reoccurring phrase, but I bet I could make one that says, I wonder what happens next. So you begin to see like, these are the strategies and we're going to apply them to all kinds of books. And that's how it can become student directed and student led, is that once you get the tools and the strategies down, you're comfortable for letting your students make their own book selections because you know that one of the tricks of the trade is going to work on that book.
Before we hop to some of the other modules to give a quick preview of them, we created a little flip book of all the tools where you can look at videos of how to use them. And so it's a great PD also that you don't have to create, that's sitting there for you, of both the videos, a little flip chart of all the different tools, great ideas on, tools on a low budget too. All of the tools that we show are in the lending library, the Special Ed Tech Center lending library. So if you see something you want to try, but you don't have it in your district, there's lots of different ways to check them out, either as kits or individually. So I'm going to go to another one of the modules. This is module 2. Brenda, you want to set the stage for alphabet and phonological awareness?
Yeah, it's interesting to think about this one because most people, I would say, feel like they have a little bit more confidence in this one because they're like, oh, it's the alphabet. I mean, that's, if I'm seeing anything all the way to 21, it's this, right? Part of the reason why we're still doing ABCs at 21 is because we're not actually teaching it effectively. We have literacy entertainment and not literacy instruction. And we're not moving them forward. And there is a lot of great ideas on how to increase alphabetic knowledge and phonological awareness. There also is an understanding that you would be doing alphabetic knowledge, phonological awareness, emergent reading, and emergent writing simultaneously. This is not a sequential situation where you're doing alphabet and phonological stuff. And before you do any reading, you're still doing some shared reading. You're still playing around with writing, even before those letters become solid, because reading and writing is when letters begin to matter, when it matters that I know this letter because that's my name. It matters that I know this letter because that's my favorite thing to do, is the trampoline. So I better know the T sound. There was no other way to organize it but some kind of sequence, but know that it's not intentional, that it's lockstep, or that you would master one before the next one. Emergent reading is one that I feel like could be way more engaging, much more fun, and more student-led than what we're typically seeing in classrooms. And remember, you can be an emergent reader at any age. So the other thing we touch on here is making sure that those emergent reading books are still age appropriate. So we're not doing Brown Bear all the way through high school. We're talking about if we're doing an emergent reading experience and they're older and they're into muscle cars, we have some, how do we find books around what they're interested in and still be at a level where that we're meeting, the instructional need is meeting where they are at.
Okay, and I meant to just hover over the sections so you can see different things happening within the modules, the different section, the shared reading, self-selected reading, rereading, building background knowledge, developing emergent literacy. And each section has a reflection, application, and feedback section where you can consider what you've learned and how you're applying it, and also give us feedback about the modules. All right, so the final one we have done right now is emergent writing.
So for SLPs and special education teachers, often emergent writing seems harder, scarier. Maybe no kids aren't ready for that yet. You kind of hear, For OTs, maybe it's a little bit like, oh, this is the one I know, right? Because you work on either handwriting or you know about alternative pencils, and that's an access to all the letters of the alphabet, even if you're using switches, even if you're using eye gaze. So I would say that even those of us who've been doing these kinds of things for a really long time, sometimes writing is the area where we go, wow, I don't know if I know how to do that. So we did break it down into a lot of different categories so that you could take this in digestible sections, because does seem to be an area where people are less confident in their skills. So we talk about the alternative pencils and how to get there, how to get it, how to pair your writing, how to do predictable chart writing, and even begin to help your students start writing their own stories and that kind of thing.
So I mentioned at the end of each section a reflection and feedback. We created a little feedback survey, and it's also a way for you to collaborate with us to improve these modules, enhance them by sharing your story, by giving us feedback of things you think are important or things that you valued. So each one has the same survey that you can say which module you kind of want to give feedback on, what your feedback might be to enhance them, and then a story you might want to share with us. We have Sarah and Brenda on. Sarah Kinsella works for the Special Ed Tech Center currently. Brenda has Technically Speaking. Both of them are wonderful with helping you consider literacy for your students. And so I just wanted to let you know that you could request a tech assist to gain support with your students. If you look at the modules and you want to apply, you start to apply and you feel stuck, then there is support out there, both very passionate about providing support to educators and students around literacy and AAC.